Okay, it looks like it's going live on YouTube if somebody wants to check that.
See it.
Okay. It's not letting me do Facebook at the same time. So I guess we can only do one.
That's kind of strange.
Yeah, but it only lets me go to one entity. Oh, your phone's ringing already. Okay, well, I guess we'll just have to go with what we got. So I guess we can only do one. Oh, 20-second delay at least. Yeah, but it only lets me go to one entity. Okay, well, let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance and so forth then. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh Lord, we ask for thy guidance this night as we deliberate in the best interests of this town, and we may do accordingly. Pray for this and give thanks in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Okay. I don't know how this is gonna work. Must be a way that I can limit one of these. Hello. I know you don't. We've been talking to you and you won't answer. Did you select that bar that says call from the phone? Not the bottom one, but the top one. No, you'll have to drop out, come back in, and when that little box comes up, there's two choices. You want the top one. Okay. I don't know how to call from the phone. With the YouTube, it's feeding right back to us. You'll have to drop out. Come back in. There, I muted mine. I hope it still works in YouTube. Okay, anyway. Everyone have your agendas? I don't have it. No, that's right. We're gonna go right into the budget anyway. It didn't come in the email, so I didn't get it. Okay, so a budget. Let's start right with a police. Let's go to there first. Or actually, we can do John if you want. John, you want to do yours first?
Yeah, mine's pretty straightforward, Walt. I think should we go pretty quick?
That's what I thought. Just a second. I gotta. Had to mute Vicky's iPad because it was echoing back through too. All right, so let's everybody go to fire then. Thank you. We have a place for public comment, but we're not gonna entertain that at the beginning. We'll do it later on.
When did we get the fire budget?
It was in your packet from last
It
time.
was in the packet originally.
Loud, you can't
All
hear.
right, just wait 1 second. No, I'll go get it.
Too.
Okay. Probably should apologize to everybody right now, being the first time we're doing this. It's a little bit of a mix up here trying to get everything going right. So.
You can go ahead and start.
Okay. All right, so looking over the chief's budget here, Department 40, the insurance line, anybody have any questions? No questions, okay. How about payroll line? Office supplies? Managers travel? Office travel? Maybe I should just do it this way. Is there any questions on the fire budget?
No.
I have none.
If you have a question, raise your hand. Otherwise, I'm going to move forward. They can just raise their hand. They just raise their hands.
Oh, so everybody can see you.
Chris has a question, I think.
John, I'm looking at your budget for fuel and utilities right now, and I see you're way down. It's showing that. So the budget that we're looking at was from 313. You've got 2,869 that you've spent so far, and you've got 10,000 budgeted. And
Yep.
I see last year we were almost at that 10,000.
Yep.
What's the change there?
It should be 10,000, Chris. It should be no change in that line.
No, I guess my question is why is our spending down right now?
Oh, I think just because the cost of fuel in the winter we had. I think we had a milder winter and the price of fuel was down. Traditionally, we've always budgeted at $3 a gallon
Vicky,
at
you gotta
2,000 gallons for fuel oil.
feed back through.
So that's the number. Like I said, we just had a milder winter, and I think I probably just got my last fill up. I paid the bill today, so there's another few $100s there to pay on that.
Okay, sounds good.
Any other questions?
Walt, I got a question just in the budgeting process. So not this winter, but last winter, the curbing here at the fire station was severely damaged by the Public Works. I talked to Jim about it last year. It really needs to be repaired. I don't feel as if it should come out of my budget. Just it got damaged. If we don't fix it, it's going to ruin the neighbor's lawn, as well as a beauty thing. So it's something that we need to talk with Public Works with going forward here about getting that fixed. They tore it up with a loader. I think it was just lack of experience in what they were doing. So it does need to be repaired. He promised to fix it last year and it got waylaid. So,
Okay. Well, I made a note on it, so
okay.
we'll follow up on that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? Well, that was pretty simple. I like it that way. Thanks, John.
All right. You all set?
Yep, thank you.
Okay. I'm going to drop out.
Thank you, John.
Yep.
Okay. So let's go back to the police. Page 12 in my booklet. So Fred, you hear us now? Evidently not.
Seen him.
I do. Do you hear me?
Oh, yeah, okay, there you go.
Wait, do you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Fred.
He probably can't hear us, though.
I can hear you.
Okay.
I don't know what I did, but something incorrect.
Okay, so top line, insurance.
Just quick, Walt, what's the, I did submit a different budget recently. I was wondering if you had that copy.
Yep.
Okay.
No questions on the insurance? FICA, Medicare,
Pension.
pension?
So in the budget here, it shows pension up there, and then at the very bottom of the budget, it takes it back out. That was very confusing to me.
Every year it comes out of the money that was given back to the town from state main PERS when they had that large chunk of money they gave back to the communities because they weren't going to bank it for the communities anymore. So I think a number of years ago, they decided to kind of offset all the budgets that have a pension by taking it out of that account that money was put into. So just kind of, minuses out at the very end.
Okay,
Well, we keep it in there because that money's not going to always be there, so we can see the justification for it.
Right.
Well, he said he had a new budget.
It got emailed to you, Fred.
I didn't get any emails from Vicky. I checked all my emails. I don't know why I'm not getting them.
I know he's had a problem with getting emails from me too, which is kind of weird.
Well, I'm going off the budget that was given to me a couple months ago.
I don't know what to tell you, Fred. Which account? Did you check all your accounts?
Yeah, yeah, I clicked.
Oh, he sent it to the school and he doesn't get it then.
I clicked all boxes.
Yeah,
And,
it was sent to your school account, Fred.
okay, that explains it.
Okay, anyway. I don't know what to do for you then, because
I'll have to go off this budget right here and
I've got it on my computer, Walt, if you want me to share screen.
okay.
There you go. Does that help you?
No, that don't really help.
Can't see it.
Yeah, I'm
He's
on my
doing it
phone.
on his phone, so.
Pretty microscopic.
What I could do, Fred, is I can tell you what the totals are going down through so you can write them in next to where the original budget was.
All right, sounds good.
So if we go back up the insurance line, 38,640.
That's main MMEHT, that portion.
Right. The FICA is 17,500. Pension is 19,000. Total insurance, 75,140. So under payroll, the total payroll, 227,100.
Wait just a minute. What page is payroll on? Page 12?
I don't know, you're looking at a different page than I am.
Page 13.
Page 13. What was the total payroll or?
227,100. $227,100. Okay, Any questions on
That was a
payroll?
reduction of what he originally, that was a reduction of what you originally submitted? It looks. There.
That reduction was, I'd put in originally to see if we could do another full-time position. But I don't believe that, considering the circumstances that the town is in and we're all looking at, this wouldn't be a prudent time to request that.
Gotcha.
Okay, office supplies, $5,800. Any questions there?
Nope.
Okay, office travel. $6,681.
What about payroll? We didn't really talk a lot about that. What about the 11% increase? It seems substantial to me.
The increases in payroll are, I'm asking for raises for the myself and the full-time officers. As you know, trying to keep full-time employees has been difficult for law enforcement in our area, let alone the state of Maine. And we need to be fairly competitive to keep the guys we have. So I have put in I think the overall increase on that is 3.9. Because we no longer budget for Job Corps payroll. That detail has come to an end. They've gone to a debit card system instead of transporting actual cash. So we're no longer doing that program with them. So the increases, there was a decrease there, but obviously increases in the payroll line overall for wage increases.
Mhm.
So Stacy, from 2018 to current, I'm calculating that we're increasing by about 52,000 in wages. Is that sound about right?
From 18 to now,
From 18's actual to what we're proposing.
22,000, right?
yeah, 22,000.
Yeah, that's what I've got.
But we had an actual expense in 2018 of 166.
Yeah, I see what Chris is talking about.
So you're on a different budget. We got the one that she emailed. I don't see that part.
So,
Okay.
so
Yeah, and you got to look at that point in time, we were, and I want to say we had a few situations when we didn't have a full-time officer. So those expenses would have been obviously less due to the fact we were paying part-timers to fill those open hours. I think that was about the time that we had some shortages in personnel. I could be wrong, but it seems like that would be the numbers.
That,
But I'm
that-
not, no, I'm sorry.
So that would be the drive then, you think, that made that lower?
That would be my first thought. Without looking at those actual numbers and seeing what was paid out, I couldn't say for 100%. But normally our payroll is pretty close to the button. So if it was that much lower, because we budgeted what, 205,000 that year, that's the only thing that I can think of. Nothing else major would have been consideration, unless we didn't really use vacation and sick and things like that. But if I had to say something, that's first thing that would come to mind to me.
I think you're probably correct with that. Just looking at the next couple of years' budgets, they were real close to where they were supposed to be. And I know there was that instance where we had the shortage and we were using, like you say, the part-time officers. So it makes sense to me.
Kind of makes sense because I think we ended up with waivers that year
Right.
for full timers using their hours. It just kind of the first thing that pops to mind.
Okay, any other questions on the payroll? We got through office supplies. How about office travel? Any changes there that anybody cares about?
That's the same amount from last year, just looking at continuing, online courses and obviously if COVID-19 situation changes, obviously courses outside of the computer realm, more of a classroom setting, but who knows how that's going to go.
Stacy, you don't go to the Chiefs meeting?
I try to go to the Aroostook County ones. I don't usually go to the state ones just because of more along the lines of scheduling than anything else. And our Aroostook chief or president for our Chiefs Association, Mike Hagan, usually comes back with pretty good information and detailed stuff. I'd like to attend, but financially, if it's better to do training than attending these meetings, I'd rather do some more training.
Okay. Vehicle maintenance?
So what are we planning on doing with the cars that we have now? We have 4 vehicles, the 2 SUVs, the car and the pickup. Seems to me $4,000 probably with the aging vehicles we have may not be realistic, but it may. Are we retiring anything, Stacy, as far as getting rid of the car or thinking about the pickup since there's such high miles, using the SUVs, or what was your intent with this?
Obviously the amount of vehicles would be spread across its need, whether it would be, as we've talked about, utilizing it for the first responders along with the police department, one of the vehicles. And certainly the car, I think, was the one that I'm looking at as the one that we would basically put out the pasture. I'd like to see us at a 3 vehicle total, and try to have one more of a spare than a regular patrol. Just because we have run into the problems in the past where we've had both vehicles down, or not too long ago, I had headed to Augusta with one of the vehicles, and if the other vehicle broken down, we would have been without any at the department. So I think I'm looking at what it's going to take to fix the pickup right now. If it becomes an issue of more cost than it's worth, then obviously it's going to sit till it can be disposed of.
You're talking about the one pickup in the auction, correct?
Or from surplus, yes.
So what's wrong with that vehicle? And if you do get that running, then you're going to have 4 vehicles again. So what's your?
No, if we were able to utilize that one, it would be a 3 vehicle. We would determine out of the other ones which would be the best to set aside, unless it's needed by us or another entity after we're done with it. So no, I wouldn't want to have a 4 vehicle fleet. I think 3 would be our our max. I don't.
But
see
you got
it.
5 there, and you're only talking about disposing of 1, right? Because you got the pickup, 2 pickups, a car, and 2 SUVs, correct?
But we're talking about getting rid of the car either way.
So that'd be 4, so you'd have to get rid of 2 to make this 3 thing work, correct?
Well, we wouldn't get rid of, quote unquote, as a term, I wouldn't say rid of. If it sits, we have an obligation to try to utilize whatever equipment we get like this within a year of its requisition.
Okay.
So if within that year we can utilize it in some way for the police department, we will. If not, it may sit until it's needed, or after 1 year, it could be allocated to another department.
Stacy, we talked briefly about the cruiser becoming the town car.
That also, yes, sorry. Yeah, you had mentioned that. That's correct. So there was the thought about having, and years ago, the town did do this with a previous Crown Vic or another vehicle, that if the manager had to travel somewhere, they would utilize that vehicle instead of being paid out mileage, or the fire department for a training or a meeting, or even the rec director, anybody from the town entity that needed to travel to a location, the town would have a travel vehicle. And we've done that, oh my gosh, Walt, how many years ago?
Yeah,
We used to do that with like our oldest fleet vehicle. And it just kind of saved in paying out mileage at 54 cents a mile instead of buying gas at, the price the town can pay for gas. So that was something that, yeah, Walt had mentioned too.
The 2 SUVs up and running, are they all-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive?
The 2 SUVs are front wheel drive because they are the hybrid model.
Okay.
And actually the pickup is also a hybrid model.
Is that 4-wheel drive or 2-wheel drive?
That one is 4-wheel drive.
And that's the one you got. What year is that one, Stacy?
That one was listed as a 2009, but when I got a hold of the VIN number, it is actually a 2012.
And how many miles that got?
I think that one was up there. It was about 170, 180.
What's wrong with it now? They say it's down to cobwebs or something with the lights on.
They did do some work on it in relation to an ABS sensor. There was another, don't quote me, there was a harness that had been either torn or cut, which was replaced. Right now, they're looking at it again because the ABS light come on again, but that could be just another sensor. I won't know. They're going to try to get a look at it tomorrow.
How much money do we have in that now so far?
With shipping and what they've done for work on it, I want to say, if you break the shipping down 3 ways, I want to say probably $1,800
With the repairs?
with the repair so far, I believe.
Okay.
okay, any other questions? Okay, let's move down to fuel and lube. See, it's about a $1,000 increase. No questions? Contract services?
We usually expect an increase from dispatching, which is pretty standard for them to come up, I think, a 3 to 5% increase. So I kind of plan for that.
Have we tried to shop Caribou or anything, Stacy, to see if it'd be any cheaper?
I can tell you right now, I'd be dead set against going to Caribou, just for the fact that we've done that before, and it's not something that they really take to. It kind of takes away from their people, and I gotta say, we get a very good service from the sheriff's department, and I would be hesitant to look at Caribou. And certainly I know I've talked to the state police a long time ago, and they had no interest. They have enough contracts already, but
Right.
I would be hesitant to look at Caribou.
Okay.
And like Stacy said, we did have that before, and that's why we went back to the sheriff's department.
Just looking at all the revenues to see if we could save money here.
You're right. Materials. No questions? Okay,
Stacy, like, I don't mean to jump, I'm sorry. But in the warrant, since he's on here, because he's gonna get off, would be a great time to ask him before I forget. On the subscription, the CT subscription, is that yearly, the 450? Is that per month, or what is that, Stace? The
The
tracker
C-
systems?
let me just cover that real quick. In the near future, the majority of departments in Aroostook County are going to a new system. And Tracker actually is a monthly cost right now. Let's go back to the cost of Crime Tracker, which has increased over the last, and Vicky could probably tell you for sure, over the last probably 6 months.
So it's 450 a month right now?
Oh, no, it's 150 a month.
Well, here it says 450.
I don't know where you're seeing 450.
On the warrant.
It's on the warrants.
Oh, on the warrants. That was a catch up to some of his other invoices. That was just a payment to catch up with invoices. I had an issue with him because he had actually doubled his amount
Okay.
on the cost,
Mhm.
because he knows that the majority of the Aroostook County departments are going away from his system. So normally it's 100. It used to be 75. I think he brought it up to 150.
So it's $1,800 a year.
So the amount that I had put in last year was to go to the new system, because there was talk about changing to a newer system countywide, which they just have kind of finalized in the last few, I think January. But that won't go into effect probably till the end of this year, if not the first of next year. Of course, trying to get all the county departments on one page is kind of a big to do. So we'll continue a Crime Tracker as long as we can. But I did increase that line last year in anticipation for going to the new system.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Sorry to jump.
You're good. Okay, so any questions about the contract services then?
What's the reason for the double in uniforms? We went from 1,000 to 2,000.
We went from 1,000 to 2,000 last year. First, obviously, changes in personnel, changes in uniforms. We're trying to get to the point where each full-timer has a certain amount of uniform, each part-timer. Jackets, I mean, obviously, we've had officers that are certainly a lot taller and wider compared to the one we just hired, which is a little bit tall, but a little bit thinner. So obviously jackets don't always fit the next guy. So just a replacement of equipment. We looked at replacing some of our duty gear this year that had been due to be replaced. We have to look at, things that break. If you have a pepper spray container or holder break, it's going to be replaced. So we look at just a replacement, and obviously as things wear out, we replace them also.
So just a generic question, and obviously, if you could cut, where would you say that you could cut? What would be the least amount of thing that you're least concerned with on this budget?
Well, I could say this compared to the original budget that I presented is certainly lower. The only real increases you're going to see in this budget is payroll, which I've got to say, obviously, like I said, with trying to be competitive with other agencies. I mean, we lost one guy to Fort Fairfield at one point for a couple more dollars an hour. I know that Van Buren offered one of our current people a $3 an hour raise to go work there. So I mean, that's where my real increases are, Jim. So really, this is kind of to me, the bare bones. And I've kind of brought it to you that way. So for me, other than payroll increases, there's no real large add-ons here that I could look at and say, yeah, this is where we could do that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
How are we doing with 24-hour coverage and being able to fill all of our slots and things along that lines?
It's been difficult, obviously, with one of the officers coming back from a trip and not feeling well, we went with not having them work till things were figured out. And losing, obviously, one of our officers who passed away has certainly affected our Sunday shifts. So we've been pretty good at getting things covered. But again, we're kind of limited in the utilization of our part-timers, that we don't want to max out their hours too quickly. But obviously with things going on with COVID-19, and I've had, usually every Friday, we have a Department of Public Safety Zoom meeting. That's been some of the discussion that is going to be brought up at the academy about issues of obviously going over hours. But again, if we have an open shift, we've had some on-call for coverage. I've worked a couple Sundays myself just to get the shifts covered. But unfortunately, with having someone out because of concerns, and then of course losing someone, it has affected some of our shift coverage.
How'd you make out with that ad you put out about the having it at the college for part-time? Did you have any success with
Yeah, actually, we had one person scheduled to go do the 200-hour course. I call it the pre-service. But of course, with the COVID-19 situation, the class itself has been postponed because it was obviously a classroom setting. You'll be doing all those particulars to get your pre-service. I haven't had a major response, but I can tell you it would have been great to have gotten her through the program. I think she'd have worked out really well, and obviously she's still planning on doing so. But I can tell you from talking to other entities, there's just not a lot of people out there that are knocking down the door to do this part-time or even full-time.
That's
So
yeah. Part-time, if you get hurt or something, it could be
and that's the hard part. And a lot of people need to, and I always try to tell them, workers' comp only covers what you work here. It doesn't cover your other job. So, and that's kind of, people have really looked at, the possibility of issues and liabilities. And like you said, I mean, you get hurt, it could be costly. So there's not a lot of people that are very interested in this profession.
No, sadly enough, for sure.
Any other questions, John?
I would like to just mention that I am trying to get some numbers together to, if I can, obviously for this next, whenever the town meeting takes place, or to bring a warrant article to put in-car cameras back into our vehicles. We only have one semi running right now in the cruiser in the car. The company that we had bought from doesn't seem like they have much for longevity in these systems, which is kind of disappointing. I'm looking at another company for body cameras and in-car cameras, which will kind of work with one another. So once I get some of those figures, if possible, I'll present it if we have time. If we don't, well, we'll just have to wait. But that's one of the things I'm kind of working towards as a possible warrant article. But other than that, the budget is presented as it is.
Is everybody good then at this point?
Can I break in for just a minute? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Because 15 minutes ago. Did you see where you are looking at?
Can't hear you, Fred. What'd you say? Say it again, Fred.
I lost the last 10 minutes of this conversation. The connection was lost.
Oh, okay.
Are you all good?
Yeah, you must have a weak signal where you're at.
I'd like to say thanks, Stacy, for everything you guys do too. We all do for our community, putting yourselves in danger in this thing. And it's greatly appreciated by all of us. Just wanted to let you know that before you go.
Well, I appreciate it. And I can tell you, just being out and about, a lot of people are really adhering to the governor's executive order. And I think everybody's kind of doing the right thing. And hopefully this will be something that we can look back on and not have to worry about again, but we'll see how that goes.
Okay, thanks again.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so that's the two we had planned to cover tonight under the budget. I don't know if you want to cover another section. First time doing this, see where you're at. We could do, we got Vicky here, so we could do administration if you wanted to.
Let me see. That's in the big book, right, Walt?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. Whatever you guys want to do.
Ambulance and the first responder.
We're going to be talking about ambulance and first responders.
Were we able to get a budget from AJ yet?
Not yet.
Vicky's iPad's on pause there, whatever, mute.
What was that?
I think Vicky was trying to talk, but her iPad says it was mute. I'm just bringing it to her attention.
No, she was just saying that she hasn't gotten anything either.
Oh, okay. I just couldn't hear. Thank you.
Okay, so what's the wishes of the board? Do you want to move on with administration now, or?
Do you want to? Okay, it doesn't matter. Whatever you, yeah, I'm game. Everybody else wants to.
I wonder if that should be posted, Walt.
Well, we've never separated them before when we were doing it. We just put them on to make sure that people knew that they had to be in there, but whatever you want to do.
Well, we can do admin, but again, I'm working off an old budget proposal.
Well, this one was in your packet last time, so you should have that.
That's what I'm using right now.
Yeah,
So
that's the current one. Yeah.
okay, there's no major changes in this one than what's been stated. All right.
I'm not sure what you said, but
No, Fred, I don't think there is any major changes. I think the police budget was the only one that had the change orders in it.
Vic, you want to go down through and just get going, or?
Okay. If we go through this one and Vicky's around, that's fine. I just can't hear her talk.
No, her thing's muted still.
yeah, she's on mute right now. Because if she turns hers up, then it feeds back. It echoes back and forth.
Oh, okay.
I see.
Well, let's try this. YouTube, though.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Here we go. Okay, so I'm just gonna let you.
To go through the admin? Okay. Anybody have any questions through the insurance, MMEHT?
So what we've got for actual expenses in 19 differ quite a bit from what's budgeted.
That is quite a bit. I
Are you
think,
talking about the $300, Chris?
No, we're budgeted at 32,000. Actual expenses in 2019 were 12,000.
Oh, you're talking about the top, okay.
no, the budget for, in 19,
So
budget 20
but
was,
the-
right.
the budget was right.
Well, if you see, like in the budget 19 was 24,050, and the actual was 12,628. That's probably what, I really don't know why there's that much difference. 19.
And this year here, well, you
That
won't
must have been,
have.
that would be the actual probably of what we used for, correct. Yep, it's the same thing. Yeah, that's what the actual, what we use for the MMEHT.
Right, what he's asking, I think, Vicky, is why did we budget so high, but we only spent half? I guess that's where he's asking.
I'm just following suit of what was done, I guess.
Because like this year, you're probably gonna be about 15, or you think you're gonna be used quite a bit more than that? Get a couple of
Correct.
months, huh?
Yeah, and because that was, the increase was, the increase in the salary for town manager, because last year that the wage was higher than the previous year. Let me see.
As far as the insurance you're talking?
And
Yeah,
the insurance, right, and the insurance goes up too every year, as you know.
okay.
Um,
Yep. So what do you think you're gonna have this year left over? Just throw it like a brainstorm number. You think you're gonna use quite a bit less than 15, or you think you're gonna be right about there?
Oh, no, I think it'll be that, if not more. Especially, you know, when you get the new town manager in, and I'm sure that person will take the insurance, so it all depends on, you know, what plan they take too.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else? And the FICA Medicare, that is based on wages as well. And that increase due to adding the new position. Any questions on the pension? That stayed the same. Questions on payroll?
So what's the clerk wage now and the assistant clerk, Vicky? What's the raise that they are looking for hourly wise?
50 cents an hour extra.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah. So the clerk position is $19 right now.
okay,
And I put an increase of 50 cents, and the assistant clerk is 14. And so we put the 50 cents for that as well.
okay. Thank you.
Yep. Office supplies.
You're gonna be right there on top of that, ain't you? The
What's
18
that?
Next
Oh,
year,
yeah.
you already spent 17 something. You're gonna be right on top of the 18 next year. You
Yep.
feel that's enough, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. Managers, travel and training. It stayed the same. And the travel and training for
That
office.
may be reduced though,
Okay,
if we go with the car.
right, okay, yeah. Right.
But do you think, well, if you took and got a car, by the time you did maintenance and you did insurance on it, you're gonna save what you pay somebody to drive their own vehicle? think so?
Because as fleet insurance is quite a bit cheaper than what we would be paying monthly out to, say, the manager or whoever is doing the traveling.
What do we pay somebody right now to travel per mile?
0.585.
Is it?
59
point-
cents a mile.
585.
So it'd be pretty hard to run a car on that, wouldn't it?
Are you on manager's travel?
Yes, we are, Fred.
Because I lost you again for about 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay.
Any adjustments on that?
What's that? What's that, Fred?
Any adjustments on the manager's travel, or is it staying?
It's the same.
All right, let's move on.
Okay. Contract services.
What are we doing with cleaning, Vicky? Are you putting that out to bid again? Is it time? You said verbally the contract was done to put our cleaning for the town office out again. Would that be something we do in the near future, or?
We're still using the same lady that we've been using for the last 9 months, maybe.
So this is a new person?
What's that?
Is this the new
She's been with us for about a year.
I remember somebody I thought said something about the verbal contract was done right off. Maybe I heard something else, but
Nope, I don't think so.
okay.
So where are we at with our email program and what we're gonna do there?
Well, we prepaid the $4,000 because the email alone is $400 per year for 10 years. But we prepaid $4,000. So,
All that stuff has been changed over, Chris. We're on the new domain. We're on the new email system, everything. Walt's been working on the website. It's made big improvements. So we're on the right step on that.
Good, thank you.
What about the assessing? Have we gone to a contract instead of a verbal agreement with Brandon?
we don't have a signed contract, but it is a verbal agreement.
So we should have.
If you guys, you like a written contract, we can do that.
Thank you.
What about Trio and putting in the credit card module? Is that built into that budget?
Okay, that one is not built in. I'm looking at my notes here. And I believe that for that credit card module, it was around 1,300. And then there's a few $100s extra per year for maintenance.
But that's something you believe was needed, correct?
I'll have to, what's that?
That's something you believe was needed, you said, correct?
Yes, yeah. If we have that module, the credit card module right through Trio, it saves us extra steps from going out of Trio to go into a completely separate website to do the transaction. So this way it saves time and your customers don't have to stand in line waiting that extra 2 minutes that it's gonna take.
So is that something you'd want to add into your
And it-
Trio
right, and
stuff to get straight?
Right, and it simplifies things as well, you know, it'll be on our audit report instead of having to provide a separate one. It will make things, go ahead, Jimmy.
That'd be $8,800 then, correct? If you added that to
Yes.
70, okay. So I'm just
Yeah.
marking it down. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, that's fine. So this is possibly, I'm probably gonna have to update this one then and bring it back to you guys, because I did not put that in there. Because I had just received that yesterday from Trio.
What about the lease on the copier, Vicky? Not to nitpick, but it says 36-month unsigned lease. Is that something we should continue with? Or is it giving trouble, or should we update? Or
What is that for, Jimmy?
on the photocopier, it says lease unsigned for 36 months.
Right, yeah.
2 years old.
That-
Using ours here, it gives us trouble.
Yeah, it's been working fine, but this is what, it was a lease with them, yeah, that we didn't sign anything. And we got that from them last, I want to say probably last spring, early last summer.
Says
We got the-
March
March, yeah,
18. Okay, all right.
there it is, yeah.
A question about the virus protection. We pay $500 a year for that.
Yep, we do.
Seems pretty expensive, don't it, Tad, or no?
It does. I mean, we don't pay anywhere near that at the school. I don't know what Walt pays, but that just seems unreasonable.
But at the same time, that also include backup services,
That does, yeah, the backup service as well, that includes that.
but still, I think that can be negotiated, because it seems to me like, for most people, one computer is like $69 a year.
Mhm.
So I don't know how many computers you've got on that, but that'd be a question to ask.
Okay.
As we continue to move forward, are we thinking about setting stuff up so that we can share documents? You know, like some of the ambulance stuff that we worked on this year, we were able to have a cloud, or to have a OneDrive or something along those lines, to be able to push documents back and forth, even these budget items. Is that something we're working towards or could move towards?
We could move towards that. Something we could do, yeah.
I've already started putting some things on our web even. So like our policies, procedures, all that will eventually be all on there. And I could create a repository there. We have to have, a password access to if there was any.
Yeah, we could make this a page where you
You
can
can
have
have
access.
access to anything like that.
Okay.
Dues and membership. Any questions there? Okay, safety. Any questions for safety?
The rest of the items look pretty much flat across.
Yeah.
Out of this budget, we look at pre-buying any fuel, because we're way under and the price is way down.
We could certainly look into that, doing that.
I think we need also
So that, like a co-op thing. Caribou is doing it right now where they've got a number of the community members, the town, or the city. There's a number of them. So they're getting a really big, and we ought to pursue something like that for our town. It would benefit everybody, not just the town office and so forth, but the community members, those that want to join.
Well, if we're looking at just fire and town office budget, there's gonna be enough left over in both of those budgets to buy the same amount of fuel. So we could pre-buy ahead for a full year.
Well, if you put the school into that also, you know, as far as like Walt said, the co-op, you do very well.
If money's there, I don't see that there's a problem going ahead in that. Prices are definitely gonna start going up now though, because they reached an agreement and you're gonna see prices start to go up now.
Is that me? Turn it down?
That's what happens when lights are on in both areas.
So would that be,
Something to say, you should be muted.
Do you want me to mute mine or am I done? Am I done? No?
Any other questions for administration?
so to pre-buy fuel or something along those lines, would it be at the discretion of the department head at this time? Or how would they go about something like that?
Or what?
I didn't hear the first part of what you said.
Right. We didn't hear the first part of your question, Chris.
Okay, so if looking at what the fuel prices are now, would it be at the discretion of the department head or discretion of the manager if they decided to pre-buy fuel?
I think that would rely on the manager. Because you need a focal point, and that's who she is right now.
Yep, okay.
I put that in your notes to see about a pre-buy right now. Okay, are we done with administration then? Okay, so like always with these budgets, if you come up with other thoughts on them, don't hesitate to make note of them, and bring them up to us so we can move on before we send it to the budget committee, okay?
Okay.
I did have on the agenda to talk about the ambulance and first responders budgeting, but we still haven't gotten anything on them. We know about the ambulance portion of it, the initial part, I should say, but we don't know whether that's going to. So we got a starting point. That's all I can say. Without the rest of the information, we really can't. But we know that portion of it has got to be added into this budget. So I don't know, Chris, you've been in contact with AJ. Can you follow up that and find out what's going on?
Sure, I can follow up. I know that whole industry's had a whole lot of challenges right now.
I know.
And it just keeps changing over and over. So I'll follow up with those guys. I'll find out where they're at with their class. I'm sure everything's on hold. I know Danny was working with NM on if there was going to be a distance learning thing going on. So I'll follow up and kind of get a report and see where we're at.
Well, just as long as we get some figures, even if we don't get much started the remainder of this year, coming next year, we know it's going to happen. So we at least need to have some kind of figures to work with and we put it in the budget. I know he had it almost done a couple weeks ago. So, I mean, we just need the figures.
I'll follow up with those guys.
Okay. All right. That was it under new business. The old business, did you find out? Did we get the internet hooked up for the rec? I'll let you go into your manager's report then. Let's do that.
So for the internet at the rec department, Doug went over to the rec department to meet with the tech that was going to hook it up, and he had trouble tracing the existing lines. So it will need to be rescheduled. Chris Kilcollins says he can trace them, and as soon as he gets them, he's going to contact Doug, and then he'll reschedule the install.
I know who that is.
Yeah. Okay, so I will just go right into my manager's report.
Well, it's very accurate. I can hear you both talk.
What?
You can hear us both.
I have a hard time to hear because of that.
Yeah, that's why I'm letting Vicky do most of the talking.
Okay.
You can hear, yeah, okay. So due to the COVID and the governor's pandemic orders, I had originally reduced the work hours for some of our employees. They've recently made the decision to have the deputy clerk come back in for at least 4 days for the week to work all day. We're doing pretty good on distancing ourselves. So, and we have a lot of things to catch up on still. And I'd like to now start our reconciliations in Trio to get caught up. And we'd like to start compiling our information for our annual report. So I spoke with her today and told her that's my plan moving forward until, you know, in case anything gets worse, then we would have to change it again. So also the librarian would like to come in back into work for 2 days a week. She would like to start some inventory. So I gave her the okay to go ahead, but she needs to make sure that no books can go out and that nobody from the public can be allowed in the building. The assistant librarian has been working on programs that she will do over the internet for people and for kids. She's working on one right now that Christmas in May. So she's working on a project for that. So they're still working even though they're at home. They've been continuing to update their social networks remotely with daily story times. They've been doing crafts and educational activities online with people. They've been editing and updating the online database via the Atrium catalog. They have renewed circulated materials. They've been completed through the 30th of April. They're planning on online tutorials for Earth Day. And they're also continuing their main state library certification courses, which is through online as well. So also I'd like to do an update. Lucian was in today to fix the fire suppression control panel. It was installed, programmed, and inspected. Everything passed. The gentleman also installed a new temperature control sensor on the upper level as the old one was malfunctioning. And he also installed a new battery in the lower level control box, and that will prevent the door alarm from coding. And they also did a check on the elevator and the floodlights as well. So everything seems to be working fine there. So, so the rec department, he's been providing weekly activities for children and their families to do from home. Each time they complete one of the activities and share what they've done, their names will go into a drawing for a prize to be drawn at the end of the social distancing. They have a minute to win it challenge. He had an Easter egg coloring contest. The Minute to Win It is similar to the TV game show. So that seems to be, he's encouraging parents and other family members to join in the fun. Yeah, the items in the game are very basic and can be found in most households. So, I have an update on the Trafton sign. He's continued to keep in contact with Boulevard Graphics about the new campground sign. He was informed that it would cost about $68 an hour to design it. And they said it would only take about 2 hours to do. So he's looking for approval to go ahead with that. And Boulevard would need a 50% deposit to get started. So, whatever your thoughts are on that.
Got that around, Vicky, or we just went there and didn't, if I remember right, didn't Tom Cody make that sign? Did we ask him if he'd like to fix that or no?
He did, Tom did make the original one, yes, yes. And I did mention that to the rec director, and I told him to mention that also to the Trafton Lake Committee. So they had a meeting and that's what they had come up with. They had decided to go with, to have Boulevard come up with a design, something more, you know, more modern, up to date. We certainly could ask Tom to do it again. I mean, he did a very good job on the first one. It's held up for a long time.
Right. And maybe it'd be least inexpensive is to pay for all. I don't know. It's just a suggestion.
Right.
Sometimes it's kind to ask the guy that made the sign. It just seems like a kind gesture to see if he'd be interested in updating it. Just my 2 cents, I guess.
Okay. The MRPA took a vote and decided to officially cancel this year's rec, track and field events. The regional rec group has floated the idea of continuing this event later in the summer, if it's possible. Some members mentioned that their school have already announced they will not be returning to school for the rest of the year, and it would force their recs to cancel all programs until at least mid-June. Others are waiting until a confirmed statement from Governor Mills on at a later date to see how long this will continue. Other directors have stated they've heard dates thrown around as far back as July 30th, which could also affect this year's camping season. I will like to mention that we've had several people call to reserve their lots, and we told them at this time we're not doing that because we don't know what's going to take place. So we aren't taking any reservations. You know, we don't want to be holding on to people's money and then have to go through the process of, you know, giving it back to them, which could, you know, be a little bit of a.
Vicky, on the main tourist website, it said that they would allow camping, they thought, maybe by the end of April. Did you see that too under main tourism in the camping?
I did not. I know that some, and I know some parks in the state of Maine have closed too. I read that online yesterday. Some of the parks are closed for the entire season. So
hopefully we don't.
It's yeah. I mean, and until we know, you know, how long this is going to go, I don't want to take any reservations right now. You know, I just don't think it's wise, you know, and then be holding on to people's money, and then they're all going to call and say, well, can I have my money back? Which of course they would, but it just saves us from the hassle of doing that.
Could we do reservations and just don't take no money down, and you have to do it before you move in? Is that
What's that?
Could we take reservations on paper, but don't take any money down, and then
we certainly could do that. Yes.
Does it make sense?
Yeah, we could do that.
Just to keep interest.
And we have the names of the people that have already called, so we can give them a call back, you know, to let them know if that's what.
Okay. Well, I just figured to keep interest, that's all, you know.
Yeah.
I would encourage that.
Okay. I'm just writing this down, sorry.
No, that's okay.
Okay, I wanted to mention that I've checked into our revenue sharing for fiscal year 21. The total is $344,062.48, which is up from last year's, which was $257,510.46. So that's an increase of $86,552.02. That's our projected sharing for this fiscal year coming. I wanted to mention that. Highway foreman has asked if he can take funds from his reserve account to pay for the shipping of the equipment that he recently received. The cost is currently at $6,800, but maybe another $2,300 when the other plow truck arrives.
What has he received so far, Vicky?
What's that?
What did he receive so far for that shipping?
He's got what did he receive? He's received his truck, the pickup truck,
Okay.
the sweeper, and the bigger plow truck, the Mack truck. There we go. Sorry.
You had said it, and that's okay. So that's all he's received, and that's the $6,800 all entails getting them three from wherever they come from.
What's that?
I said them three, that's what the $68 entails from.
Right.
Okay, well, that's fairly inexpensive.
I've contacted businesses in town. They've been doing an excellent job following the governor's and the president's orders during this COVID. So I want to mention that Manaz Books and Coffee Shop is closed to the public, but they are continuing to do the UPS, which takes place from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Their redemption center is still in operation, but for drop-off only, and the laundromat is still open as well. Their hours are still the same. Julie states that business has decreased a little bit since this, but it's nothing she's concerned about. Petra's service center is still open to the public, but is only allowing 5 people in the store at one time and advising the people to keep their 6-foot distance. Hometown Fuels has closed his doors to the public, although business is still going on as usual as far as its fuel and gas. Fuel is cash on delivery. Double Play is still open to the public, but for takeout only. Rendezvous Restaurant has closed its doors at this time, does not have a date of when he will reopen. Talk of the Town is closed as well. Mike's Family Market is open to the public and is only allowing 5 people in at a time. His hours have remained the same. Seems to be doing pretty well with that. Dollar General has limited their number of customers as well to 15 at a time, and their hours have changed from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at this time. The post office has the same hours, but they have limited the number of people to go inside to 1 at a time and then 3 at a time in their lobby. Boulevard Graphics, the production line is running normal hours, which are Monday through Friday from 10 to 5, but the only people allowed in are delivery people. Just wanted to put that out there. Food pantries, the St. Louis Catholic Church is open every Tuesday from 11 to 1. They are asking people to remain in their vehicles, and they will bring out a food box and put into their trunks. Pantry at the United Methodist Church has a small amount of food that is available 24/7, and the food is in an unplugged freezer accessed via the left-hand door off the parking lot. You can call a church if your need exceeds what is available. The number of people picking up food is about the same. It hasn't increased. They said no one's really seen an increase in it. The rec bus, I have an estimate on what the rec bus, with Jimmy Cody gave me an estimate of what he thought it's valued at. It's still out at the snow barn. He has given me the registration of the bus because it was in there. So he says that it's worth about $300 to $400. So the brakes, exhaust, and the battery are not in good working order. So whenever you guys are ready to put that out to bid, just let me know. My last thing is I received an application for auto graveyard and junkyard permit from Ricky Dope, and would like to know how the board would want to proceed with that, as this would have to go to a public hearing. So, and that's what I have.
Going back, sorry, to the lake Trafton side, I'm sorry. Okay, so you're asking for, they want half of the deposit. So what would that be? I guess we didn't get to a price. So what's the calculated appraisal that he's going to cost for the job?
For the what? I can't even, I can't.
That's okay.
There, if you-
The Trafton Lake sign,
Okay.
good to put half down. Okay, so what is half? What did he want for the sign up?
The sign was, they said $68 an hour.
So that's
So
100.
that would be, yeah, so
160, whatever it is.
took two,
That's
yes,
all he
2 hours, 2 hours,
That's the
so,
deposit?
but,
So that's
It's
the
about
deposit.
100.
He's looking for $168.
It would cost an additional $68 dollars an hour to design it.
Okay.
So, and it's 68, it's approximately 2 hours, $68, so it'll be around $140.
How much is the cost of the sign?
He didn't give me that. He just said they needed a 50% deposit. So I
That's
took
what
it.
mean. How do you know
What's
what
that?
the
That's-
deposit?
Yeah, and I think, yes, and it also depends on the design, how big it is, or how much they want in that design.
So if you take the design part, you're just going to pay for that. Then he's going to get back to you with a quote, and then you'll need to know what the deposit is. Okay.
Correct.
And we're going to ask Tom if he's interested in doing it too also, right?
Yeah, we'll have them to go. What's that, Jimmy?
I was just asking if the other board members agreed with that, to ask Tom to see if he'd be interested in to do that.
I think.
Sure.
We can get, we need ideas. That's what you need. That's why we told the Traffic Lake Committee to decide what to do with it and so forth, so.
Right.
Oh,
I turned my mic back on, sorry.
You want me to turn mine off?
Well, I
So,
understand-
yeah.
I understand about drawing it up. I'm talking about actually doing the work.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It all depends on what the design is.
Right.
That's gonna make the difference in how much it costs, whether we talked about whether it was gonna be double-sided, whether it's single-side, all this stuff weighs into what it's gonna cost and so forth. So the more people that get involved with an idea, so we can put it out there, whether Tom does it, whether Boulevard does it, or somebody else. We need to have an idea to go forward with it, so we can get an estimate.
So where are you gonna put this up? This is the first I heard about looking for an idea about the sign. And I also feel that the town should have involvement with it, not just the Tracton Lake Committee.
Yep.
No, we just talk about the Trafton Lake sign, is that we need to have the community involved in it.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
The board did ask that the Trafton Lake Committee come up with this decision now. The board did ask that. So, and that's what they decided to do. I don't think it's really fair to go back to them and say, you got to change your mind. It was what the board had asked.
I don't necessarily mean to change your mind. I think it's a good idea to get community people far as ideas is what I'm saying. I think, you know what I mean? It's more inclusive to the town, everybody in the community to come up with an idea that suits our needs as a town and not just a few people from the community. See what I mean? I'm not saying their ideas are not good. I just think that everybody should come together to try to make something that makes everybody happy, so to speak.
Right, right.
Walt,
Is that your manager's report? You're done now? Okay.
Walt,
So- What was that?
Yes,
Fred.
Fred.
Hey, Walt, can you hear me?
Now, yeah.
Can you hear me, Walter?
Yeah, we can hear you, Fred.
Hello?
I'm shaking my head, yes. What do you want me to do?
Going back to, it was made, because you're gonna make, did that need to be a motion to take it out of, reserve account to pay that bill?
As far as the
Hey.
highway, Fred,
Can you hear me?
you're talking about the highway, Fred? I think that's what he said, Walt. He wants to know if you want a motion for the highway to move the money.
Ted, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes,
that's what we
I can
need
hear
to
you.
do.
I can hear you, Fred. How much money's in his reserve account? We can legally only do 20%.
Do you know how much is in there? Vicky?
I do not.
Well,
Right there, Chris, or no?
I don't think I got it.
You got it.
No, we don't, Vicky.
Are you there?
Yes, we hear you, Fred.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
She mentioned the cost of the transporting those vehicles, but we never moved on that. How we're gonna pay that bill?
we're trying to find out what's in his reserve to see how much we can move legally out of there, Fred.
no, I don't have it.
No, I don't either.
I'll look as we continue to move forward, see if I can find it.
I thought we had a sheet with that on there.
I did too.
I did too, but I can't find one. I did think I seen it somewhere. But you can still make a motion as long as it's less than 20%, correct?
Right, that's very true. But there's no dollar amount, so we can't.
She said $6,800.
But I'm saying, if you make a condition in your motion, that as long as it doesn't exceed the 20%, I suppose that would be legal.
Of the balance in the account, that'd be okay, right?
Yeah,
Well, I'll make that motion. I make the motion to move it out of the account for reserve for $6,800 as long as it does not go over 20% of his budget he has now.
Second,
20% of it. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion, Chris? Seeing no other discussion, all in favor then of the motion? There, I see Ted's hand. It's invisible. It pops in and out. Okay. I just had a question. The income report that I put on the agenda, it was to find out how we are doing since the limit of excise tax and all that stuff coming in, how we're doing as a town.
Well, and we haven't been bringing in a lot of revenue.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so that's why I had created that form to do registrations, but we see, people seem to be using it, they're utilizing it, getting, we're at least getting that.
I'm just concerned about the cash flow. In other words, taxes and all that
We're
stuff.
a little, I think I gave you guys the accounts from the bank.
Yes.
You can see where we're at. You take, this is crazy. So on the, I gave you guys our accounts balance from the bank. And as you can see, our municipal checking, the amount that we're at right now, and I just did a very large payable the other day. So what you see that's left, the payable was around 105,000 that I just did. So that's where we're at right now.
So Vicky, what are you doing about the taxes? Are we trying to make it like the registration, which is a good idea? Can we do the same thing with taxes, to have them send in their taxes that way?
We have been getting taxes as well through the mail. And I will say too, though, that I did send out an invoice today to Lorne Development Authority for their share of what we've paid so far to the ambulance service, because we've already made one payment to them, and we have to do another one and send it out because they sent us the second quarter already. And I've created an invoice and sent it to the LDA for them to reimburse us their share. So that's going to be $50,900 that we'll be receiving from them. But yeah, people are still paying on their taxes. And it might not be a lot, but we're getting some in. And people are utilizing the registration form that Walt had put on the website, that registration form that I created. So I think that's helping some.
Okay, so I think we've covered everything except for, we can do the warrants next, and then we'll go into the executive session where we can disconnect YouTube and all that. So approve accounts payable warrants 63, 65, 67, and 69. And then payroll warrants 64, 66, 68. So basically, it's 63 through 69.
Didn't you say that 65 you guys already done?
No, we had it in our packet, but we never approved it.
Sorry.
So moved to be accepted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on the warrants? Sound like it. Tad, did you,
Say that again.
who made the motions on that?
I seconded it.
Tad seconded.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Tad seconded it. Okay, so on 63, any questions? Let's do it that way. I did have a question on 63 as far as, it says H2O and sewer tax acquired property. What is that? 63.
Okay, so
Pages.
I don't know what it's too long. I think that's what we had to pay to the water company for tax acquired property that these people owed on that water bill, water sewer, and this was our share to the water company. Because usually when something's tax acquired, and they have to, what we get, if people owe the water company.
Right. So this is from way back then when we did the,
And we just received that. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
that's why I was questioning it. Okay. Any other questions? Sorry. Nothing? Okay. How about 64? Oh, I don't have a 64. 65.
I got 64.
You got 64 on the agenda.
I got 64 here in my hand from our other packet.
Payroll, 64 payroll.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I got it. I just had it hidden. Okay, nothing on 64. How about 65? Vicki, can you explain to me why we send vehicle registration excise to the Bureau of Motor Vehicles? The very first item on 65?
Yeah, that's a report that I have to do every Friday. It does all of our registrations, and we send them, that's something we do every week. It's all our registrations, and we have to pay, we take and send them, and we pay them the excise. That's excise that when people register their vehicles.
Right.
We do a BMV report, and on that report it states what you have to send them. And that is,
And they turn around and send it back to us?
yes, but you get it back eventually. Yeah.
Oh, that seems
Because
crazy.
it's a report, that's always been done. It's once a week.
When do we get a notice, Walt, of tax acquired property, do we get like you know what I mean? Like a sheet that shows you what we've got, or what month does that usually come out?
Wants to know what month it comes out for the tax acquired properties.
We've already done them.
Yeah.
But we have to go on further because right now you can't, because of everything going on, you can't. But I have a list of what we go.
But normally February is where it,
Is right, and we did it last month. Because, you know, things were a little late getting going and.
Yeah.
But we've already done that, yeah.
but normally February is where we start the process. But because of everything shutting down in March, it's still on hold. She's got the list. It's just that nothing can be done until this all works out.
We'll get a list, the selectmen, correct? When it's done in time.
Well, you'll send a list to everybody
Oh,
once it's time.
absolutely,
Yeah.
yes.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so nothing on 65 then?
Nope, we're good.
Okay, so look, I did, sorry. In Lucian's, I see they're monitoring the service here, the library, and Public Works. Right? That's what it says.
Oh, yes.
So I just have a question. What are they monitoring? Because I understand the library with the elevator and fire alarm stuff,
Yeah, and the alarm here,
but we don't use the alarm here.
it goes off, so. I mean,
Nobody sets it. So how is it?
waiting until it goes down, I mean,
I think we need to ask about it because
Is that a month, Walt, or is that for the year?
that's monthly fee.
That's a lot of money,
It is.
way too much money.
I understand why we need it down the library because the elevator service and stuff, that's a requirement by law, but Public Works, I don't know. I'm just saying question there. So it's just something that I'd like us to find out because it's a bunch of money.
Or at least shop it around. I mean, that one we got Maine Coastal or whatever, that one Maine Fire, whatever it is that's around, we pay, it's not nearly as much as that.
Right. Seacoast does a school or used to, we don't use anymore, but it's a whole lot cheaper.
I think I pay $36 a month.
Yep.
It's no money.
And then I assume this is the last time we're paying Zoho anything?
right, absolutely, we don't owe them anything else, we're done.
Okay, because that was crazy.
There's a question, well, after your executive session, are you guys coming back onto YouTube?
No, that's why we're doing everything prior to the executive session. Unless, well, it all depends if we have a motion.
Okay, because if you have a statement.
You have to come out of it. You'd have
If
to.
we have a motion, other than saying status quo, yes, we'll have to.
We'd have to have a motion to come out of executive section, technically.
Yep. But whether we put it on YouTube is what I'm saying. We've got the community channel going and stuff.
Yeah, whatever it is, yeah.
Okay, so anyway, 66, any questions on the payroll? Okay, 67. We still haven't heard back from Consolidated about the phones down in Public Works, library, town office, police. I'm sure they're, I did have a call from the woman that was in charge and she was going to get me the answers, but I haven't heard anything back.
I see we have a legal expense, Walt, on warrant 67 for Solomon and Hunter. Where did we go with that? I know I got a paper and it was advice of one way to go or the other, but have we ever done anything forth with the personal property? Or are we going to put that on next agenda to kind of?
Well, it was put on this agenda, but it was supposed to be on the next one because this one, I didn't want to do anything other than getting our budget and getting caught up with some of the things.
Nope, understand.
But yes, that is still on the agenda to be brought up.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Because we had to decide which way we were gonna go with it, the report that we got back. Okay, so. Yeah. I noticed that police department is shipping out a lot of stuff, though. I know what it is that has to be shipped out like that each month. Yeah, it's $105 that month, and another month it was 120. I'm just wondering what's going out, but that's their choice. Okay. 68, anything?
Nope.
Okay, 69. I did question our safety lights down on Main Street. It's a small amount, but they're the same lights, two different sides of the road, and one's more than the other, so I was questioning why. What's the difference? I don't think there was anything else. Oh, under UniFirst Corporation on 69, it's got wipers and replacements.
Yeah, wipers and replacements, yeah. They have these things they clean with, they're called wipers. I've asked
Okay,
that question
I'm thinking
before.
windshield wipers.
Right, no, wipers, that's what they use to wipe things down with. I asked that before too, I said, why do you buy so many wipers?
And on my bill too, but mine's for the rug by your door.
Backup and virus. Okay. All right. No questions on 69?
Well, that Daigle and Holton, what was that? They had admissions problems, obviously, for $7,000.
I didn't hear the first part what you said.
I said that the Houghton and Daigle, obviously that must have been admission problems with that truck for $7,000.
The Holton Daigle one, 7,000 for that truck.
Yes,
Is that what it was?
yeah, that's exactly what it
Yes.
It must be admissions, correct? Because what else would you put that kind of money into a truck for?
Yeah. Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the warrants then? All in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. Okay,
What about the Harlem Rockets? We've never mentioned, I've never seen it on the website. I know that you guys are promoting it as a big thing. Obviously, they're going to put it out, hopefully, and do it later. Does Vicky know when the date that they're trying to get, or is it still up in the air?
it's still up in the air because of everything that's been going on. They just canceled it for now,
Well, it's a great fundraiser. You hate to lose it, that's all.
right?
I don't know if you can push it
The
out.
Harlem Rockers.
is. Yes, yeah.
Okay, so we're to the point for the executive session now. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
I make a motion to go into executive session.
At
The number,
8:20? Who seconded that?
Second,
Chris? All in favor then? Okay. I'm gonna take me a minute here to get everything shut down, so hang on.
do we stay in this room or do we have? to-
Yes.
Oh, we do, okay.
So when you shut it down, it shuts us right out, right, Paul? Or do you want?
I'm shutting out you two. You'll have to, I'll exit anybody that's left in that shouldn't be in. Stop you two.